Good day and assalamu alaikum, you beautiful people. So yesterday, the Great Bigot Racist Strike, Great British National Strike, I keep getting my words mixed up, so sorry, my condolences on that one, happened yesterday. And it was a letdown, to say the least. You know, whether you've got, racist accounts like, these two up here, claiming there was going to be 500,000 people, the UK was going to be brought to a standstill. Even Alex Hamstrung of Gbeebies did a less than 10-minute segment on his video, on his section of the show. I think it wasn't even 2 minutes, was it? Where he said, and I'm paraphrasingly quoting here, "There were thousands of great British patriots in the streets. They are the voice of the voiceless. They are all sick of the tyrannical regime of Tsunami." Now, you'll all agree that was a very accurate impression. Now, voice of the voiceless. Voice of the voiceless means a marginalised community, usually. It's where it comes from, someone who's been oppressed, who's been stepped on, whose voices are not being heard. When you represent the overwhelming majority of the UK in terms of how you look, you are not the oppressed. You are certainly not the voice of the voiceless. Now, thousands of great British patriots. Thousands. Let's have a little look at that, shall we? Because we saw some of the pictures yesterday, and I'll show you a few more that have since been sent. There's not exactly thousands, is there? You'd be lucky if there's even 10k between 70 locations. Because there were a load of locations where they all got run off. Didn't last long in Birmingham, did it? Especially with Birmingham Pride being on. So, good on you guys. Love it. Oh, love it. Running away from the LGBTs. Brilliant. Now, on a more sensitive note, in Glasgow yesterday, there were a load of them, just like there were a few others up and down the country chanting Tommy Robinson. Because, why wouldn't they? Because the strike wasn't about Tommy Robinson, though, was it? Turns out it was. Even though, what was it, the guy who organised it said he wanted free speech, the reversal of disability cuts, inheritance tax. I can't think of what other, right-wing Tory reform politics he wanted. But we'll get into him in a minute. Because in Glasgow, there were these people holding up free Tommy signs. Tommy Robinson had the whole tape thing over his face, blah, blah, blah. And there were a few of them who were chanting his name, and then a large handful of them did the salute. And you know what salute I'm talking about. I'm sure their hearts went out to people. Yeah, that salute. It's very disturbing to see that there are people openly doing that salute now. And do bear in mind, there were a lot of arrests yesterday. There were a lot. So it's very possible that the people doing the artsy salutes got nicked. Because guess what? It's an illegal salute. But I'm sure Robinson's not going to mind one way or the other, because it means he's got some extremist fans. And I'm sure he'll be quite happy to have those extremists on his side. So he's not going to condemn him, is he? Of course he wouldn't condemn him. Why would he? Being a Yahtzee and all. Now, in terms of this, whoever the guy is who hosted and organised, well, not even hosted, who barely organised this strike, he set up these 6 demands. Apparently it's these things here. Now, the funny thing about it is, the guy's even done a video, and he stated that if the government don't give in to his demands, on Monday, the UK is going to come into a lockdown standstill, where over 500,000 patriots will bring the country to its knees. I mean, good luck with that. I don't know if you've ever tried travelling in the UK on a bank holiday. Public transport is Sunday hours. It's horrible. But, each their own. But it's just the arrogance and sheer blatant deluluness of him. Where he's sitting there going, if the government don't give in to my demands, our demands, well, don't think the government are going to do what you say, pal. I'd love to see what you're going to do. What are you going to do? Bring the UK to its knees? You're going to hold it hostage, hold it to ransom? What are you going to do? You're going to sell it out to another country? Like either certain politicians or certain migrant convicts in prison do? What are we talking about here? So, it was it was all for a grift. Because it was all for a GoFundMe, which this bloke set up. So there was no patriotism to it. It was a movement dressed up as a grift. This is exactly what it was. It was a grift. And the sheer fact that there were people there, we all knew that they'd have certain flags. We all knew they'd do racist and xenophobic things and illegal things. We all knew that was coming. But very thankfully and fortuitously, a lot of the counter-protests were significantly outnumbering these right-wing racists and bigots. Because there were a lot of them, and don't get me wrong, not every single one of them was a racist. Of course not. There were an overwhelming majority of them, which was mildly hilarious, because a lot of these people obviously thought there were going to be a lot more people. Hence why their voices were a lot quieter than they probably could have been. Because you can't disguise your racism when you're the only one shouting. Yeah. So now, in terms of this guy or Alex Hamstrung of Gbeebies, who was sitting there telling you, thousands of British Patriots. Just remember, guys, there is so much evidence out there. There wasn't thousands. You'd be lucky if you could get 10,000 between 70 locations. And I'm genuinely saying you would be very, very, very lucky. I'm saying 10,000 as a loose number because I'm pretty certain that in my old city of Brighton, for example, there were less than 100. And guess what happened in Brighton? They got moved. Why did they get moved? Because bigotry and racism doesn't stand well and isn't tolerated in places like Brighton. And funny enough, it's not tolerated in Birmingham either, or Leeds, or Bristol, or Glasgow. You know, funny enough, it's not really tolerated anywhere. But yet these people keep popping up, don't they? And they always happen to either be in support of Farage or Robinson. Something about that, isn't there?